Hello and welcome to the first episode of my new podcast, the Shadow Market Writing Podcast. And I put that last bit in there so that people couldn't get me confused with some other subjects that title might be used for. But um, I would like to say welcome and, well, my first episode is going to be advice that I would give to up and coming writers that are a bit worried or a bit skeptical about getting into writing itself. Now, I would like to start by saying just just write and you will get better at it. But I have some notes. I have some notes here that I wrote a while back for this exact thing. And well, I would like to I would like to get into. And the very first thing I have wrote down is where do you start? Where do you start with writing? Well, you have an idea, and that will be the first step. And it doesn't have to be an original idea. There are not very many of those in the world right now. But what you do is you take that idea, you write it on a piece of paper, put it in on your computer, and you let it sit and you look at it. And anytime you come up with another detail, put that there. And you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until you have a list of things that you can use to build your book. And then you take those and you watch them, you look at them and you wait a little bit longer if you want. And then after a while, you'll come up with more details and more details. But you need to write them down. You need to start that pipeline of getting word to page. If I may be so frank, also boot to ass. You need to do something in order for this whole thing to start, for there to be a process for you in the first place. And I say that because if you're wanting to write, you need to write. Just like any other skill, just like any other hobby, you need to do it. Even if you're not going to share it with other people, you just need to do it. You need to get those words onto a page and start. And the next thing I have wrote down are the three harshest words you'll ever hear. And those three words are you will fail. And this is with anything. You are going to fail sometimes. You will do it, but you need to learn from it. A lot of your yeah, a lot of your artists, a lot of your musicians, a lot of your writers, a lot of your video games, a lot of your movies, behind those successes are stories of failure after failure after failure after failure. There are some people whose books got rejected close to, if not more than 1,000 times before they got published. There's some video games where they made the whole game, hundreds of thousands of hours, only to get rejected by every studio in the game. All of your favorite musicians spent time as indies getting rejected from show after show after show, not selling a single song until they just found the right person. And in writing, you need to be that person for yourself sometimes. And eventually, you will get to where you want to be, and you can stay there as long as you want. I have wrote close to 14 or 15 different projects, not counting the ones that are on my website, and I have sold not even 200 copies. But part of that, and it's something I don't have wrote down, but you need to honestly think about for yourself, is if you don't write for yourself something that you might enjoy, how are you going to expect other people to enjoy it also? Another thing I have wrote down is don't write for everyone. And that kind of goes back to the last thing I said, and it's if you don't enjoy it, who will? But to compare this to something that I think a lot of people will understand is if you make something for everyone, then who was it really made for? To put it in perspective for my video game lovers, if you make a video game for everybody, then who's going to enjoy it? Because if you're doing something for everybody, then you're doing something for nobody. A good example is Call of Duty or Rainbow Six Siege. They're trying to appear to a wider audience to the point where they alienated the ones that made them popular. To put it in perspective for music lovers, when your artist writes that song for everybody just so they can get on the radio, it feels like they lost their spark, didn't it? So don't write for everybody. Write for yourself, you know? Another point that I made on my paper is write something you'll enjoy. What do I mean by that? I mean that you need to write something you like and keep doing that and keep doing it and hone your skills. And the only way you will is if you write and write and write and write, because you're not going to get better if you don't do it. People that don't sing for a long time, a lot of them can't sing anymore after a while. Same for rappers. They can't rap if they don't rap after a while. Or football players, or baseball players, or anybody that does a physical sport. If they don't do it for a while, they lose those muscles and they lose those skills a lot of times. That applies to you, but what's the point in getting in practice if you don't write something that you like and that you enjoy and somewhere you want to be? Because when you go to write those books, you're going to be going into those worlds. And you're going to exist there for a while amongst your characters, your creatures, your environments, everything. Because you're putting a piece of you onto that paper and sending it out into the world for others to enjoy. Another thing that I wrote down is learn as you go. And what do I mean by this? I mean that you need to immerse yourself into the world of writing and take in all of the material that you can. Um, there's a lot of really good ones on YouTube, and a couple of writers have put out little uh what do you call them papers about it. Stephen King has a whole book about his writing process and what he learned from his journey. I recommend looking into it if you want to get better at it. And it's worth it when you do get better at it and you get a sense of accomplishment from doing all of this stuff and learning all of this stuff. It's fantastic. It's great. Another thing that I wrote down is don't feel bad for taking your time. If you want something good to come out of your writing, then it doesn't hurt to take your time. All of the best art takes a while. And while you're working on the big project, do smaller projects as learning exercises so that you don't feel like you're wasting your time when you're taking it. Don't market your book until you feel that it's close to coming out, and that can take a while. I mean, some books took years and years and years to do. There are some YouTubers on YouTube that wrote books, and it took them 4 years, 5 years to write a 300-page novel, because not everybody has the time to sit and write non-stop. I mean, even Stephen King, he writes for a certain amount of time of the day, and after that time's up, he gets up and goes away, and when he comes back the next day, he looks at what he had wrote, edits it, and then keeps writing on top of it. Because these things take time. I mean, you're not going to go out and write a masterpiece in your first draft. Really, a lot of people take that advice. I'm one of said people. I edit as I go, and whatever it is at the end of the line is what I leave it as, and that's what gets published. And to be honest, that probably bites me in the butt in the end. But taking your time is not a bad thing. And I have a friend that writes books, and they're ashamed and frustrated about taking their time, but I tell them the same thing I'm telling you. If you need to take your time, take your time. Don't feel bad about it. But that's all I've got. I mean, 13 minutes for an opening episode isn't bad, especially one where I'm rambling the whole time. But just try to have fun while you're writing. And check out my book, Outbreak: The War of Enlightenment, Book 1. It's the latest that I've published, and it's the longest that I've ever written, and I think it's worth checking out. I will see you in the next episode.